All right, gang. Hello, everybody. As everybody continues to log in and stream, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited. My name is Jan Barlow, and I am the founder of the HR Disruptor Summit. And we are so excited to launch the Job Bang 2022 today. So thank you so much for my first guest, Summer Watson. My friend, I can't think of anybody I would rather launch this great event than you. So I just am so grateful that we're together today.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much for asking me to be a part of your summit. I am so thrilled to be here and so excited to be talking about this subject and to invite people who are out there watching and listening
Yes.
to be a part of this conversation. We want to hear from you. I always say on my other show, the best conversations are when you're participating.
That's exactly right. And that so aligns with our topic today and what the summit is going to be talking about: collaboration and connectional intelligence. So a little bit, as I always say, the synchronicity of connecting with our facilitators and guests, etc., is such a magical process. I'm all about the 95% of what I don't know. So when one of my core peeps says, Jan, you got to attend this event, or Jan, I need to introduce you to this person, I don't research. There's no need to, because people, that are my core peeps, they know me, they love me, they know, again, you get a download, introduce so and so, you do that, you go and approach it from the unexpected opportunity, right?
I love that.
Right?
It is
That's what
so
I
important.
just think is so rich, because you just show up, just like we did. You just show
Right.
up. So, just a little bit. So, Summer, share what you've been doing, and since your transition and growth and evolving, I just love that you have like two or three organizations that you have grown. So, if you could share a little bit with everybody what you're doing and what you've really grown organically.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I grew up in California. I am now outside of DC. And there has been so much change over my life. I'm open to that change, and I love change. I love change. As an entrepreneur, I absolutely love change. So, one of the things I will tell you about myself is I have been a military spouse for 21 years. Over 21 years. My husband's now retired, and that's what brought us to the DC area. But prior to his retirement, I practiced in mental health. I've worked in the field of mental health as a clinician, as someone who's worked in the human services sector for years, bringing community together, collaboration, you name it, doing individual, group, and community counseling and collaboration, and bringing big programs together. So when my husband retired, I thought, what is it? What am I going to do now? How am I going to reimagine my life, my journey? And so I started the business Core Women, where I started producing movies, writing a book, doing coaching, and bringing community together through seminars, through film, through many different venues and avenues. And I have always loved bringing community together. And so Core Women, which is an acronym, starts with a KORE, and it stands for how we kinetically connect in community, how we organically learn from one another, how we reshape our lives through diverse interaction, and how we empower one another to promote change. And as an offshoot to that, I've also created and co-collaborated on another live show that I do on Instagram called the Life, Love, and Money Show with my favorite and most incredible co-host, Jen Fontania. There's so much more we're doing this year, but I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jan.
Well, thank you, Summer. I just love the fact that, you didn't pigeonhole yourself into one thing. And I think that just is a testimonial to where we are as human beings in our growth. What we're taught is, especially in mainstream, still to this day, hello, it just needs to catch up, is we think, oh, you're supposed to get a job and you stay there forever, and then that's it. That hasn't been the truth in forever, right? And
Yeah.
we're a living, breathing, organic organism.
Yeah.
So as all living things changes and grows and expands, right? So why wouldn't our work do the same? And why shouldn't it, right? I
Mhm.
think that's one of the biggest things about the summit is about reimagine work. It doesn't matter any part of our Better Job Fit brands. The summit is about bringing all those brands together and collectively bringing others together around popular topics that we're all living right now, to reimagine work, to try something different, and not feel that shame and blame around it, right?
Oh,
um
absolutely.
when we talk about that connectional intelligence, we were talking about networking, right? And I love
Mhm.
what you said. Networking is not working, right?
Mhm.
And networking was originally, I mean, our aha moments with words, right? You and I love words.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, we're
Oh,
word
yes.
freaks. So, but networking was originally meant for computers, right?
Yeah.
And so then we start talking about people. We're going to network, right? Well, now that doesn't work. We're wondering, why does that not work? Well, the word itself doesn't fit us anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's moving beyond the transactional relationship, right? Or the
Yeah.
transactional type of experience. What I would love for you to share is really what was poignant for your New York experience when you brought a group together, right? You and
Uh-huh.
Sejal Thacker, right?
Mhm.
And you all came together. If
Mhm.
you could share that experience and what people today, right, in that moment and that environment, what were people feeling, right? What was the end
Right.
result to that?
Okay, so I want to go back and touch on something really quick that I think is so important that you mentioned in regards to the etymology of the word networking. Because Jan and I are like, we nerd out on words, right? And I love it. I love that we do this. So that word really was created in like the 1500s. And that word really meant bringing fiber or mesh or wiring together to create a net. And then it evolved, right? So in the 70s, it was about linking up, or what we called butterfly networking. And that was taking, again, wiring to connect computers to exchange information. There's the transactional part, there's the cold part. And we brought that into the 80s, and we began to use that word to exchange information and contacts. But here's where we do the shift today. And I love what you're doing here, because we're reimagining the whole idea of no longer just networking. And that's kind of like speed dating, right?
It is. It's just so ooh. Like when I think of it, it's like ooh.
But here's the thing, it might be the first point of access. It
That's
might
true.
be that first connection, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. So let's not completely dog it, right? Let's just say that's the first part.
Yeah.
But we go beyond that. And I will talk about that New York experience that I had with Sejal, because that was so important in relation to relationship building, relational intelligence, right? And so that took us to a place of intention. That took us to a place of that experience took us to a place of, what did we want to do with our time, effort, and energy and
Yeah.
investment when we brought people together? And that's exactly what we did. So Sejal and I, for those of you who don't know Sejal Thacker, please go out and follow her on LinkedIn. She is amazing. She's an amazing connector. She's an amazing relationship builder. And what we decided to do is we decided we would meet in New York for 4 days. And in that 4 days, we constructed and created three meetups. And we met with three different groups of people during 3 different days. Oh my goodness. And our intention was coming in that with an open mind, an open heart, meeting, understanding, having reflective listening, and really the intention being bringing people together with the intent of really growing those relationships, not making those, here's my business card. Oh, what is it that you do? Not that. but it was more. It was more meaningful. It was deeper. And people left those meetings saying, I want more. I want more, because the intention was so different. Jan?
And that some of that's exactly, when we talk about consciously advanced leaders, and that's what, collaboration, our attendance here today and who we're attracting to the summit this year, consciously advanced leaders. And when we use that term, it's exactly what you said, some of the examples of characteristics of a consciously advanced leader. Mindfulness meaning segment intention. What is your intention? Right? Like looking at the end of this call, looking at the end of this meeting, what do you want to experience?
Right.
And like you said, the hearts, your intentions that were tied to your open heart, open
Mind.
openness, right?
Yes.
Openness, that whole package of openness, but the intentions, your feeling. So we can speak words all we want, but you both had the feeling and connected to the feeling of connecting with others at a deeper level.
Yes.
Would you not describe it as that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Our intention wasn't to go in there to exchange a business card. Our intention was meaningful, deeper, and being open to that experience. And I want to touch back on something that you said earlier. When we first started meeting, Jan, you were really about, I don't need to research. I need, somebody told me about you. And from that one conversation, Jan was like, I want to know more. I want to continue meeting. Let's continue to talk, and let's see where this goes. Let's see how this blossoms. Let's see where we have a core connection. And we did. And those conversations evolved. That conversation evolved. And it came to, hey, do you want to be part of this Disruptor Summit? Do you want to talk more about what the difference is between networking and relationship building? And so here we are, because of being open, having that intention. And the intention wasn't solely, merely surface level. It wasn't merely transactional, where it's, here's my business card. I don't know what's going to happen from here. But there was intention. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep moving this forward. Let's see how we can be open to our growth together.
My friend, thank you so much. I mean, I just so appreciate you observing that and really feeling that, because when I talk about, when I started the summit back in 2020, I mean, I've always felt that way about relationship. Like, look, anybody can write a nice website. Anybody can write something nice on LinkedIn. I mean, that's just so subjective, right? I mean, I just want to talk to the person. Like, I need to talk to the person so I can see your strength and see who you are, and how can we co-create? Is there something that I'm doing that you can be a part of, or I can bring you in to highlight you? To me, that's co-creating at its best in this world, right? And so I loved how you talked about calling connections, right? Like taking this to the next level, that I was sharing with you, that I have been feeling called to connect with others, right, who are being called. They're working in their calling, right? I just feel that when even meeting somebody for the first time, I've experienced there's a deep richness of connection, right? And we were just talking about that, that connectional intelligence. When you are so engaged emotionally with a conversation with another human, and you start to get downloads of 1, 2, 3 word ideas that you feel called to write down, that's one of the prime experiences of connectional intelligence, because you are literally connecting to that person's energy, not only their words, because we can listen all day long, but when you are truly connected with connectional intelligence, you're going to feel that download of the 95% that's not physical, that's not in the room, you're going to be tapping into that part of your brain that's going to be communicating to you because you're connected and actively hearing, right? And engaged in what that person is speaking about and speaking to you from their heart. So thank you so much for recognizing that. That feeds me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's when I sit there and say, I could leave this world today and say, wow, like I meant, I did something. Like, I mean, I was meaningful in my relationships. I was meaningful in my communication. So thank you so much. That really means a lot to me.
Absolutely. But if we take that whole idea, that whole concept of what that exchange that just happened between that reflective, consciousness and listening to what we exchanged during those conversations, the meaning and intention that we had during those conversations, that led us to this point. And because you were open and because you were available and present, that grew this relationship. And there's the investment. So there's different levels, right? So there's intention, there's investment, there's the outcome, right? And when we have these things going on that are more meaningful than just networking, the end result is so much richer. Way back in the day, so I grew up, I'm going to give my age away a little bit here. I grew up in the 80s and I graduated from college in the early 90s. And when I began my career in the human services arena in counseling, I started a nonprofit. And when I started a nonprofit, one of my duties was to go into community and build community programs. But I realized very quickly that it wasn't going to be egocentric. It wasn't going to be about me. It was about bringing people to the table. And back then, what we considered soft skills are some of the most important skills today. Right? And those soft skills, what we considered soft skills, were understanding personalities, understanding what reflective listening meant, understanding intuition. All these variables started working for me. And when I clued into that, that was a game changer. That was the game changer because that led to that connectional intelligence, that relationship building. That made a huge difference. And when I got that into my head, I could go into any school, any community, any company, and start building community, bringing community together. It wasn't the strategy. It wasn't the goals. It was about understanding relationship, being that emotional intelligence, that relationship intelligence, that understanding of what does it mean? What does it mean to really be invested in your community?
That is so true. And these books that talk about goals, that talk about the numbers, and I got to be honest, it doesn't, that just seems like so old school now.
Yeah.
When we talk about value, what I want to give a shout out to Antonio Livera from Whole Branding. He helps us with the summit and all of our branding. And Antonio is big, and he says, especially big on relationships. He says, Jan, it's not ROI anymore. It's ROL, right? Return on loyalty and creating those relationships. And I don't know about you, but I know since 2020 and put everybody on the couch and less time to get distracted by 50 million other things, we were limited on what was distracting us. But we can see fake now a lot easier than what we used to.
Oh, yes.
Right? That veil has been lifted. I mean, I think for me, like when I hear somebody start talking about their accomplishments and I've done this and this and this, I don't know about you, but like after 3 sentences, literally my hearing just turns off. I'm like, okay, I mean, there's no right or wrong or good or bad. I just know for me, I notice that more.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, Jan. There was something I was sitting in and the person just was like very fluid in the way they presented, loved it, but all she could do was be ego centered. Me, me,
Yeah.
me, 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 me. And when we're talking about connectional intelligence, we take the me out of the
Yeah.
equation and take it into, what about you?
Yeah.
Your. And, you know, when you have that connectional intelligence, I had a quote here that I wanted to say. It's about investment. It's about authenticity.
Yes.
It's about commitment to building relationships that are meaningful. And Bob Ross might have put it this way: connectional intelligence takes the relationship into a happy place.
Yeah, and it's not a have to. You know what I'm
No,
saying? It's
right.
it takes the expectation. See, I look at it as unexpected opportunity. You know, we
Yes,
have our intention. You know, what
right.
would you like to experience, not get? That's, you see what I'm saying? It's a totally
Yes.
different. If you ask yourself, what would you like to experience
Right.
at the end of this meeting or at the end of this call?
Yeah,
Now it's not what you want to get.
right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
No, I
it
do.
takes reprogramming your brain. Admittedly, it's not an easy process, but
Yeah,
to take this human piece to the next level, I
right.
like what you said about soft skills. I just want to cuss at the person, meaning the government, for creating that term soft skills, because hello, it's an essential skill now. I mean,
Yes, it's the foundation.
yeah,
It's the premise. It's how you nurture what you want to see as that end goal, right? And so, or the openness to what could be. And I like that you say that, and you're repeating that here, Jan, is being open to what could be.
yeah,
Because it doesn't necessarily say, okay, I have this goal and this is the way it should be. It's what could be, because there's so much more when you're open to that that can develop.
yeah, right,
Right? And the conditioning, drop the conditioning.
yes.
If we can drop that conditioning, and yes, like you said, and like I said, it's about intention. What's the next step? Being open, open to experience.
It isn't easy to begin with, right? I mean, there is a process. I know myself,
There is.
all day, every day. Like, I think, okay, this is going to be the outcome. Like, oh, if this happens,
Yeah.
right, or if I do this, this consequence, right? It's like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, why am I writing the end of that story when I don't know, right? That means I'm projecting on the situation the way it's going to be,
Yeah.
only one way, right?
Right.
And I know I love Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, right? When he talks
Mhm.
about, again, why do you project an end result when there is unlimited? Our universe says there is not one absolute, right? So we're
Right.
the ones projecting on the outcome, right? It's a
Right.
mindset. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to go, if I go to that, like you're already driving to a networking event, and I know I've done it myself. Oh God, I'm gonna, let's see, I got to go there. It's going to take me hours to get back. Who's going to be there? I'm already preconditioning this
The experience.
experience.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, why would I do that? And then, because ultimately what happens is, and what did happen when I would do that, I wouldn't have a good experience.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, oh, I'm not going over, I'm not doing anything with that group again, because I just don't get anything out of it. Well,
Yeah.
it's first of all, I set it up for failure. I already projected preconceived notions on how I already wrote the story before I got there.
Yeah. Right. You
Right.
wrote the narrative right in here.
Exactly. And
Right.
what I like about it is, like, when you program your mind not to do that, like,
Yeah.
I find myself when I'm driving to the event, like, I get excited like it's Christmas. Like, I
Hmm.
can't wait to see what God in the universe, what conditions and opportunities and situations that are going to pop up into my
Yeah.
bubble. Right now it's exciting, like you said,
Right.
but now you're open to receive and to
Right.
give, right? What do I,
Absolutely.
how can I, am I, what's like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be put in positions, whether I want to be open to give, I want to be open to receive. right?
Yeah.
And then this or something better, right?
A- Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And that is exactly what happened with our relationship. And when you are invested, let's say there's a mutual investment, right?
That's right.
Especially when it comes to business. So let's take this into like the job, the business, right? So when we're looking at the business and there is that mutual investment because of that emotional connection, do you know what that does? I mean, that does far more than I'm going to be in a room and I'm going to be strategizing. Yes, that is important. Yes, the goals are important. Yes, that's all important. But guess what this does? This shared experience, this shared commitment, this shared energy supports your business,
Yeah.
supports your brand, supports your marketing, opens doors to organic introductions. Oh my gosh. There is so partnerships, friendships. This moves it
Yeah.
to a completely different place. And guess what, Jan? This is all free.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it doesn't cost a dime. The return on investment is like $1 bazillion. Okay. And
Absolutely.
right. And well, it does take you to invest emotionally
True.
and again, have an open mind.
Yes.
Um, but what I love about it is it literally is feeding for me. It feeds me personally and professionally. When
Oh,
people
yeah.
just now people, they realize, okay, it's got to do both. If it doesn't
Yeah.
feed you personally, it's not going to feed you professionally. We
Absolutely.
can't divide ourselves, right?
Exactly. We always talk about, professional growth, personal growth. Well, today it looks very different. That looks very different. Working from home, having our families here. What is that going to look
Yes.
like? All the variables and factors that we confront today or face today. What does that look like? And a lot of times there's not a lot of separation, and that goes for business and personal and professional development. So how does that feel for you? If you are investing in this connectional intelligence, this concept of connectional intelligence, you've got to figure out, what does that mean to you?
Yes. You
How does
do
that
have to define it, right? You got
define
to
it for
own it
yourself?
and define it for
Yeah,
yourself, right?
absolutely. And like you said earlier, going back to something marvelous Jan has said, that you have to define it, but you have to lean into it because there can be some discomfort with it because we have not been conditioned to be open to it necessarily and to define what that looks like or feel, more importantly, what that feels like. Do you
Yes.
know when we feel a certain way and we're like, oh, it's ooey, it doesn't feel good, and those hairs in the back of your neck start like lifting and raising, and we don't listen to that? Have you ever been that way where you're like,
Hmm.
I'm ignoring it, but you know better.
Yeah.
You know better. That's kind of like this whole concept of, what it's going to feel like. You know how you want to process it. You know if you want to be open to it. And it's going to take some work leaning into it.
Yeah. It is. It's a process. It's an evolving process, right? I
Right.
mean, again, anything living grows and expands and continues to
Absolutely.
change. So, gosh, my friend, I could speak hours with you on this. Like I said, if we were in the same state or the same city, we'd blow it up. I mean, that's all I got to say.
I know, right? This has been so much fun.
I know it. So I wanted to make sure everybody sees that I put Summer's information into the chat. Also, just to give everybody, thank you, Pamela, for chiming in there. This is great. Also, just want to make sure that everybody sees Summer's contact information, links to her shows, as well as the summit. Anybody want a sneak peek into the HRDS 2022 Job Bang? I put the link in there. And also, if you want to stay up to date for our upcoming events, the link for that is in there also. Just to give you a overview for this year's summit, we're going to have 12 weeks of virtual. We're going to have a 2-day in-person experience, and then we're going to have beta projects. So we're going to have labs at the in-person event, and that's going to take theory to real time after the in-person event. So there's going to be a journey of educational experiences, and we really want you all to be engaged with us. And this is all about you. We're coming together with you, bringing people together to help the world reimagine work. So this is really a great lab experiment, because we haven't seen anybody do this. So we're crossing industries. It's not just certain industries. We want people from all industries, all positions, around some basic topics that are really coming to the forefront when it comes to reimagine work. So again, anybody have any comments? Thank you, Pam. Just so appreciate you. And also, this is going to be posted on LinkedIn after the show, and that you'll be able to chime in on comments. But thank you so much, Summer. I so appreciate you, and look forward to staying connected with your successes and everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jan, for inviting me here today to be a part of this journey with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Everybody have a great day. Bye.